Yeah, hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Football Family Feuds. And in this video, I'm going to be previewing our upcoming game against Bournemouth. So, since we played Bournemouth in December, guess how many points they've picked up? Has anyone got it yet? 4. 4 points. They've picked up 4 points. Before we played them, they were on a run of 6 defeats, I think, in a row. And since we've played them, they've only picked up 4 points in about 7 or 8 games. The 4 points they picked up were against bottom sides. They beat Aston Villa 2-1 and they drew 1-1 with Arsenal. See what I did there? Right, so what does that mean? Does that mean that we're going to win the game? Don't be silly. As I said, we were confident when we had them at the bridge, when they're going through that bad run. They're going through another bad run. Their last game they lost 3-0 against Burnley. But take nothing for granted. And because, as I said, in this league, especially with the way that Chelsea are this season, anything can happen. But the plus is that we're not actually playing at home. I'd have been I'm more confident that the fact that we're playing away from home than we are at home, because our home record this season has been shocking. 8 defeats. And that's our worst record since 1986, I believe. So not good reading. But we are a better team away from home. Bournemouth can't play the negative tactics that they did at Stamford Bridge. Obviously, when you're the home team, the initiative is with you. But then again, they may, because it worked last time, so they may go in with a similar tactic. Again, frustrate us, try and nick a goal on the break. So we have to be careful for that. And it's, as I said, we need to play at our maximum. It's going to be a difficult game because usually when we play a game after we've just played in Europe, we don't fare too well, and especially after a demoralising 3-0 home defeat against Bayern Munich. It's going to be how the players react to the upcoming game with Bournemouth. So that leads me nicely onto the press conference that Frank Lampard has just finished. And I've just taken a few notes here. First of all, injuries. So when we spoke about injuries, he mentioned Pulisic is out again, and we actually know what the injury is. It's an abductor injury. And Frank said he expected him to have been back by now, but these type of injuries are hard to predict. He also went on to say that when he was playing in his playing career, he had a similar injury which kept him out for 3 months. So it's one where they're sort of monitoring Pulisic day by day and hoping that he'll be back soon. But as I said, we don't know, because this type of injury is difficult to predict as to when he'll be coming back. Also out, Tammy Abraham, same problem that he had, the injury that he picked up against Arsenal with the ankle. So he's aggravated that. Don't know how long he's going to be out for. He didn't give us a time frame on that one, but we're going to be having to rely on Giroud for a little bit longer by the sounds of it. Kante's out, and he didn't mention Hudson-Odoi at the beginning, but as the press conference went on, somebody asked him about Hudson-Odoi, and he said, yeah, that's the other one I forgot to mention, but he's out. So unfortunately, we're going to be without our 2 dynamic wingers and the running of Kante and the goal scoring prowess of Abraham. So what side he picks, I don't know. Was he going to go with another 3-4-3? Not sure. They asked about that formation in the press conference. They said it worked in one game, it didn't work in another game. And the way he responded to that question was that individual errors cost us in the game against Bayern, not the formation. So he also said we need to be adaptable and know how to play in all different types of formation. He didn't give away what sort of formation that he's going to be going with for the Bournemouth game, so we'll have to wait and see tomorrow what his team sheet is. Asked about who the threats are for top 4. He mentioned a few teams. Tottenham, he said Tottenham are a good team. He mentioned Manchester United. He also said they're a good team. Mentioned Arsenal, but strangely enough, he didn't say they're a good team, but he just said they're in a mix. And he also mentioned Wolverhampton Wanderers. Someone asked him about Sheffield United, and he goes, "That's why I don't like reeling off teams, because there's always going to be one that..." No, it wasn't. He's actually mentioned Sheffield United. I'm wrong. Somebody mentioned Burnley, because Burnley are on the same points as Arsenal. And he did say that's why he doesn't like to reel off teams, because there's always someone who he's going to miss out. But Burnley are only 7 points behind us, so he said they can't be ruled out neither. So it's probably going to be, he didn't say that, I'm adding this bit, whoever hits a bit of form and goes on a run of 4 or 5 games, they are the most likely team to get in. And a little caveat as well, Manchester United are playing some team I've never even heard of. I can't remember the name of the team again. So they are the bottom seed in the Europa League. Manchester United are the top. I'm glad. I want Manchester United to get far in this competition. I want them to get to the final even, but not to win it. But the reason is if the further they get in this competition, hopefully they will become a bit distracted. And similar to what Mourinho did one year, where he sort of put all the eggs in the Europa League basket, took his eye off the league a bit. Because for me, Manchester United are only 3 points behind us, and they are our closest rivals for top 4. So if they can be consumed in this competition, plus having to play on a Thursday and a Sunday as well, then all the better for us, I believe. But we shouldn't be thinking about other teams. It's up to us to, our destiny is still in our own hands, so it's up to us to see whether we can get that top 4 spot. Carrying on with the press conference, they mentioned about the VAR, because obviously the officials went to look at the incident involving Marcus Alonso when we played against Bayern, and he was able to review it with the on-pitch monitor and gave the decision to get him sent off. So they said, does it frustrate him seeing that happen when our referees are encouraged to use the on-screen monitors and they never use it? And he says, yeah, obviously very frustrated, because if the referee had seen the Maguire incident, then he would have definitely sent him off, and that probably influenced the way that the game went. He said that the incident involving the Celso, VAR should have given it straight away. The referee shouldn't even have had to go and review that one. So he said VAR should have picked that one up and given that decision. And I noticed that the guy who was in the VAR box for that game is now being removed for this weekend's games. So obviously that proves his incompetence. Fortunately, it didn't affect us in a bad way, but as Frank said, as he carried on saying in this press conference, which I firmly believe as well, that VAR needs some form of change, and they need to look at areas where they can improve it. So everyone knows that anyway. So he's just voicing the opinion of the masses. So that is press conference in a nutshell. So guys, the other one, sorry, another important thing that I forgot to mention, they mentioned about a reaction, how the players are going to react after losing to Bayern Munich. And he said, in training, they have looked good, they've looked determined, but we won't be able to tell what the reaction will be until they go out onto the pitch and play against Bournemouth. Which is good, because a lot of times after games we see people coming onto social media. Excuse me, frog in my throat. Get some water in a minute. Oh, let me drink some water now. Excuse me. Yep. That's better. Right. So, as I was saying, I've lost my train of thought now. Help me out, viewers. Where was I? Oh, yeah, I was talking about the reaction. So as far as the reaction goes, sometimes on social media after a bad result, we see the players coming on and saying, not good enough. Next game, we got to try harder. And then the next game comes along, same mistakes coming up. So we don't need a reaction on social media, guys. We need a reaction out on the pitch. We need you guys to go out and prove it on the pitch. So put behind everything that's happened against Bayern Munich. Let's get back into winning ways against Bournemouth. We've got a run of 3 games now, which on paper are winnable. Everton at home being the difficult one, because we're at home. Everton had a bit of a resurgence under Ancelotti, but we have, as I said, on paper some winnable games. Villa as well, who are struggling. So Manchester United's next 3 games, I think, are challenging. So this is the time that we need to pull away and form a bigger gap. As I said, I can't be confident in Chelsea anymore because we are such an unpredictable side this season. But I'm hoping that we can push on and get a positive result. One last thing I forgot to mention as well, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. He did mention about him. He's ready again. He's going to have some sort of involvement in the game. He wanted him to have a little bit of involvement in the Spurs game, but it wasn't the right time. He said he was on the bench because he thought he could make an impact in that game if needed, but he wasn't called upon. The reason he wasn't included in the match squad for the Bayern game was because he wanted him to play in a few more competitive games, probably under 23 games, but it wasn't possible. So this wasn't the sort of game to bring him back in, bearing in mind that he hasn't played a lot this season. So that clears up the Loftus-Cheek situation. What am I going for score-wise? Every time I'm confident, we lose. But we're away from home. Bournemouth cannot get the double over us, really. Please, they cannot. They can't. They just can't, can they? So I'm going for a 2-1 Chelsea victory. So come on, you Blues, just don't let me down. So let's keep that blue flag flying high, guys. Don't forget, like, subscribe, turn on all post notifications. I'll see you on the next video.